Fantastic. So it's great to be joined on the stage now by Tim and by Nay. Tim, we met you last night. Tim is our field director at UCCF, and Nay also works for UCCF, particularly helping to develop leadership network and uncover resources. And Tim and Nay, alongside a big team of people, have had the real joy and privilege of seeing Uncover Mark develop through its kind of initial dreaming stage right up to what we're going to see tonight. So it's really wonderful to have you both with us. Tim, we've heard a little bit from Mark's Gospel already this morning. I guess lots of us in our CUs will be familiar with Uncover resources, particularly Uncover John, over the last few years. But could you just describe to us, kind of a short summary, what is Uncover Mark?
Sure, yeah. So Uncover is essentially a series of 8 Bible studies in Mark's Gospel. And the aim of that is to help Christians. I don't mean ordinary in the sense of ordinary, just normal Christians, you know what I mean? Not the experts. Talk to their mates about Jesus and pray with them to be born again, to receive Christ and to receive his life. And that's the heart of Uncover. It's equipping just ordinary Christians to talk about Jesus with their mates.
So we've already got Uncover Luke from quite a long time ago. So I remember Uncover Luke when I was a student, and we've got Uncover John. Why did you decide that now was the time to develop Uncover Mark?
Yeah. Well, first of all, why seek a Bible study? Why open the Bible with a non-Christian? Because that can feel a bit weird. But we're absolutely persuaded that God speaks about his Son through the Spirit as we open up the Scriptures, okay? And I don't know whether you've ever seen this, but when you do that, and when you start talking about the Jesus on the pages, you can almost see the Holy Spirit speaking to people, nudging people, saying, this man, he's the eternal Son of God, and he's the Savior of the world. He loves you, he's come to save you, and that's just an amazing thing to see, isn't it? So whether it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, that's amazing. Now, why specifically Mark for this generation? Well, the first thing is that Mark is short, okay? So I was reading somewhere that apparently if a page on a website doesn't refresh in 3 seconds, you just move on. Now that's a short attention span, isn't it? But what Mark does is he takes away all those long dialogues from John, all the long teaching sections from Matthew and from Luke, and he really gives you the events of Jesus' life immediately. But what he also does is he intrigues you. So why does he say to the leper, don't tell anybody? It's intriguing. And then what he also does, he gives you these amazing stories that kind of draw you in, and it's very contemporary. A bloke who's self-harming, who's living on his own in isolation. A woman who is just ill and can't find any help in her despair. A guy who's got everything and yet still feels his life is empty. These are incredibly contemporary stories. So it's a humane gospel. It's a gospel that's immediate, and I really think it's for this generation for those reasons.
Nay, you've been working alongside students for over 15 years. What do you see as unique about today's students, and how has that helped to shape what Uncover Mark has become and how it's developed?
Thanks, Holly. We live in a world, don't we, that is more connected than ever, more globally aware than ever, and more inclusive than ever. And yet, loneliness, anxiety, and depression are on the rise. It's the first time in history that suicide rates amongst university students has risen above that of the general population. And yet, God is at work in his world. I just want to tell you a short story that I think is relevant. There's a girl, a friend of mine, let's call her Kat for this evening. She grew up in a family with a mum and a stepdad who did drugs most days. She had mental health issues, she had physical issues. She tried to kill herself 3 times. And on the 3rd time in the hospital, she said, God, if you won't let me kill myself, you need to show me who you really are. She went home. The next day, the JWs, Jehovah's Witnesses, turned up on her doorstep. They started discipling her and telling her about what they believed. They took her to their meetings and they got her involved. At the same time, my friend Alex, my wonderful friend, met those same JWs. He's a Christian. He went to the meetings too, and he met my friend Kat. It was there he said to her, look, why don't you come to our church? She came to our church and we met. And after a while, we became friends. She is really great with animals. She looks after our cat for us. She comes around for food. And I said to her, do you really know who Jesus is? Do you want to make sure you know who he is? And would you like to come and look at Mark's Gospel with me? Do you want to be a guinea pig for these Uncover Mark studies? She said, of course, I'd love to. She came, and what she found was a man that not only healed people of their sicknesses, but offered something even more. After the first study, she said to me, Nay, why is Jesus going on about these secrets? Are you winding me up that there is something better than healing of sickness? Is there something more than these secrets? Is there something more? I said, I'm not going to tell you. You've got to keep coming to the end of Mark's Gospel. So this Gospel is really relevant for our generation.
No, thank you for sharing that story. I got a sneak peek of Uncover Mark a few weeks ago, and when you open it up, it looks quite different to Uncover Luke and Uncover John. What changes have you made to the design, and why did you make those changes?
Yeah, so tonight is a creative explosion. Our wonderful UCCF staff workers have enjoyed Jesus Christ through Mark's Gospel, and the result of that is what you're seeing on this stage. Uncover Mark is meant to be a multi-sensory way to engage with the person of Jesus Christ. So as you look around the room, you'll see photographs. As you listen to what's being said tonight, we want students to engage with Jesus, and we want to make it as accessible as possible. So there's photos, there's lots of different things going on in the gospel.
So if that's how the design has changed, what about the content?
Yeah, the content's not changed. The content's the same, and in that you find the person of Jesus Christ who meets people in their needs, who brings hope through despair and changes lives. We've not changed anything in the gospel. As you go through the seeker studies, the introductory question is meant to be the kind of question you'd have with a friend in a cafe. They're full of themes like power, hope, humanness, all the kind of themes you're talking about with your friends. Then you dive into the study, looking at some of the questions about Mark's Gospel, and you finish with historical context, which helps you understand it, and a last question, what does this really mean for me?
Thank you, that's really helpful. And we're not too far away from getting our hands on them ourselves to have a look, so don't have much longer to wait. But just before we do that, Tim, we were chatting earlier just about the kind of wealth of resources that we've developed and put together for Uncover Mark. So it's clear to me as we've been chatting that Uncover Mark is designed to be a rich, expansive, creative resource that is the gospel, but really embodies the gospel and its richness and its fullness. So could you just tell us a little bit about what are some of the other creative resources that we can use as CUs to help us as we do our evangelism on the ground?
So first of all, the Mark drama, we had a snippet from it just now, which I thought was really affecting and very powerful. The Mark drama is essentially it's a retelling of the whole of the Gospel of Mark, okay, by 15 actors from the CU. Random CU guys who feel that, they want to commit to this. And let me tell you about Giles Catamol. So Giles is the team leader for London, for UCCF. And like many of you here, I suspect, like me, he was pretty cynical about Christian drama. I mean, even the thought of it, you start to get a bit clenched, don't you? And anyway, Giles went across to see the Mark drama in Putney in London, I think it was. And he said he was absolutely blown away. He said he couldn't believe how powerful and affecting it was. Some of our mates, they won't necessarily come to a traditional events week event, okay? But what about theatre? What about theatre put on by the CU? And it's just Mark's Gospel. And then you've got Mark's Gospel on the chairs as well. And you say to your mate, hey, you've seen the play. Now how about looking at the studies together so that you can decide as an adult what you really think? I mean, it's so easy, isn't it? I mean, it's like Dele Alli putting it on a plate for Harry Kane to smack in the back of the net. It's such a great thing. So we've got 3 showings of the Mark's Gospel, 3 productions, tonight, tomorrow afternoon, and then tomorrow after hours as well. Do go along to that. Go as a CU, take your cynicism and say, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to have an open mind and see whether this could work, not just for us as Christians, but actually for our mates who are not yet Christians, because theatre is incredibly powerful. So there's that. The incredibly talented Joe Smith, who works with music students in London, he's written a set of songs specifically to go with the Uncover Mark studies. And you can perform those. He's going to make all the music available. You can perform those at mission events, acoustic nights, and so on. And Joe is also going to be performing those songs in the after hours tonight. Do go along to that. On the website, there'll be leaders' notes to help you lead studies. And also on the website, there's going to be some dedicated articles that really start to engage with the questions that some of your friends might have. So how can we believe in miracles today, for example? What about that dodgy ending at the end of Mark? What do you do with that? Okay? So they're the kind of questions that will be available on the website. So there really is a wealth of resources. And we just want to say, guys, have a go with your mates. It's really simple. There's so much there, but it's about this generation of students having a go with their mates. And nothing can replace that. And so I just want to encourage you to do that.